All right, hey there, fellow coder. Welcome back to our FreshVotes series, where we're going to be building a real-world Java web application from scratch, and I show you how to do that step by step. So in this episode, we're actually diving into something called cross-site request forgery. So if you remember in one of the previous videos in our web security configuration class, we had disabled CSRF, which stands for cross-site request forgery. So I had said, I'd promised that I would explain what this is in a future video, and alas, we have reached that said future video. So cross-site request forgery is something that hackers can leverage to pretend to be you whilst you are logged into some sort of web application that does not protect against CSRF attacks. So a common example, or a typical example that makes a lot of sense to people, is pretending like you are submitting a form to your bank. So in this example, the hacker somehow knows when you're logged into your bank. Who knows how they figure that out, but somehow they figure out that you're logged into your bank, you have an active session, and then they send you to a fake page that they have created that can actually post data to your bank on your behalf. So they can maybe send a fake link where you somehow type in the real credentials to your bank, and it will log you into your bank. And then once they know you're logged into your bank, they can then issue this form or whatever, or send it to your computer and have your computer's browser execute this code, right? There's nothing that fancy that they'll need to do to make that happen. They can just send you to a different URL and they'll just execute this form, right? And this form, if it shows you they do a post action to whatever bank endpoint that the hacker would know to post to, with the appropriate hidden amounts and routing numbers and all this stuff, account numbers. So yeah, there's a way that they can do this. And then they have this input type submit that says win money. So there's a button that would show up that says win money, although that's kind of silly because you can actually make this so that this form just posts itself without having you have to do anything at all in terms of clicking any buttons. So basically, that's bad. It's bad if they can know that you're logged in and then pretend to be you and do things. That's not good. So to protect against this, you can actually have a what's called a CSRF token. So a cross-site request forgery token that is a random number, or might even be alphanumeric value that gets assigned to you, that the attackers won't know. They won't know this because they don't have access directly to your browser's info. So this stuff, that's what you do to protect yourself, is to, make sure that you require CSRF tokens to be sent in your browser, within your app, I should say, using whenever you use certain requests. So I forget where the lists of requests are, but it's like, here it is. Any patch, post, put, or delete. So anything that modifies state will be secured with this CSRF. Basically, anything that's not a GET request. So, and they say that the reason is that including private information in an HTTP GET can cause the information to be leaked. So you don't want to leak that token to any potential hackers. And when you do a GET request, it appears in the URL, so they'll be able to sniff that out. So yeah. Anyway, let's go into the code and actually see this in action. So right now, if I go ahead and start up my server and I go to my my dashboard, I can log out and I can, log in and see all these stuff appropriately, right? Everything functions the way it should function. Well, as soon as I remove, so I'm in my web security configuration file, if I enable CSRF by removing the disable code and restart my server, you will see that if I go to the dashboard, it asks me to log in. If I type in the right password and say log in, nothing happens. Why does nothing happen? I'm typing in the right password. I'm so frustrated. So this is the result of the fact that we've enabled CSRF. So what's happening here is we're not passing the CSRF token, so it's just not letting you in. It's not processing the request properly because you're not passing along the secret, right? So we need to change our code so that our app passes along the appropriate token, is what it's called. So on our login page, since we have a form that is posting, remember, post, patch, put, and delete are the 4 things that we need to use the tokens on. We need to include this token. So how do we include the token? Well, it's just an input type, and it's a hidden input because we don't need to show the token on the screen. Again, this is something you want to hide from whoever, just because it's not information that an average user needs to see or know about. Yeah, so it's a hidden input type, and then it has a name and a value. There's a name equal to something and a value equal to something. But the problem is that the name, I shouldn't say the problem, the next thing you need to know is that the name and the value are, well, at least the value is dynamic, right? So you can't just type something in here and have it work, right? So actually we need to use Spring Expression Language to get the CSRF token, right? And in order to do this, in order to have this code run appropriately, whenever we're using Spring Expression Language, we need to, hint, hint, augment it with timeleaf. Okay, and then the name that we pass along as well comes from, again, the same thing, CSRF, and I think it's parameter name is the name of the variable that we're leveraging. And again, if we're using Spring Expression Language, we need to augment with timeleaf. So now to take a look at what's going on, we can actually peek at the source code, and we'll see that our input type hidden, the name is underscore CSRF, and the value is some random value. Okay, and if we refresh this page, you'll see the value sort of stays the same. I believe it's tied to a session or something. Like if I were to reboot my server, this value would probably change. So, and I assume it changes for every user. Like if I were to go and open up a private browsing session and go to the login page and view the source, you see that the value is different, right? This one starts with DAAF, and then this one is 9D whatever. And if we keep refreshing here, it's the same value. So, you know, for every browser session, I believe this value changes, which makes it secure. Cool. So now we have that value. So when we try to log in, that should have let me in. I think I am in. I think it successfully logged me in, but it redirected me to the login page. Oh no, it didn't. Let me try it again. There we go. Probably just something with the caching or something was weird there. So yeah, there we go. Now we get into the dashboard. So everything is working as expected. And we can test that again. If I go to localhost 8080 and try to access a dashboard, it tells me to log in. If I log in with my username and password, there you go. Yeah, it puts me into the dashboard as expected. So it's just a little caching issue there that shouldn't show itself again. Now the other thing, so that's good, right? We're logged in, everything's working perfectly, we're happy, we can go on about our lives, and we just need to make sure we remember to include the CSRF token in any of our patch, put, post, or deletes. But there is one more curveball, because when we click on log out, it won't let us log out. And you're thinking, well, what? Why can't I log out anymore? What happened? Well, it requires you, if you go and look at the log out stuff, the last step is to ensure that you include the CSRF token in all blah, blah, blah. One way to approach this is, okay, sorry, that's the logout URL. We already read that. Adding the CSRF will update the logout filter to use HTTP post only. Okay, so in order to log out now with Spring Security, we need to make sure that we issue a post to log out. We can no longer log out via the URL directly using a GET request. So that's what we were doing. Inside of the dashboard, we were issuing a GET request via just a simple URL. So we need to change this now to use a form. So the action of the form is pointing to log out, just like we were pointing to log out before, only the difference now is we have a form to do it. And the method should be post, because we need to post to do this, okay? And then we'll bring this up and we'll say, instead of an anchor tag here, we're gonna turn this into a button, okay? And the type will be submit, so it'll submit the form. All right, so now, small change, but remember, this isn't gonna work still. Do you know why that's not gonna work? So if I go back to the dashboard page and click log out, it still doesn't work. Forbidden, it says. Why? I'll give you a moment to think about that while I drink my drink. And check on my son. I have my baby monitor in front of me checking up on my son. He's still sleeping soundly. Yeah, why didn't this work? Well, don't forget, just like we did with a login HTML page, we need to pass in the CSRF parameter, right? So don't forget, for every post, we need to have that guy. Oh, and we need to also bring in time leaf. It's underlining that saying, I don't know what you're talking about. What is th name? We forgot to use the XML namespace definition up here and bring in timeleaf.org. There we go. So now if we come back to the dashboard, refresh the page, and click on log out, hey, it works. So now we can log out, and we can log back in, and go to dashboard, and log out, and log back in to the dashboard, etc., etc. Also, I don't like that. I click on log out, and then I go to log in, and it brings me to the home page. That's annoying. So do I have time? Yes, I have a little bit of time. Side note, I will go to the security configure, and I will punch this in the login, form login. I'll issue a default success URL. So by default, it will send me to /dashboard when I successfully log in. So now I'll wait for my server to reboot. So now if I go to the login page, it should redirect me to dashboard. There we go. So now if I click on log out, type in the right password, it brings me back to dashboard instead of the home page, right? Cool. Excellent. So there we have it. That is how you issue a CSRF token inside of your code. There are some additional things that we need to know, specifically when we're dealing with AJAX requests and stuff like that. We will surely get into that later in this series, so don't worry, we will get there. So two things I will finish with. One, don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos. If you love these videos, you will be able to get access to more of them as they come out if you do remember to subscribe. So please do that if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, what the heck? Go check it out on YouTube. Check out my channel. You can just type in FreshVotes and for sure you will find this series of videos. Great. Second thing I'll say is if you want to see me type in or figure out the checking in process, so checking in this code, creating a branch, and doing GitHub related stuff, stick around because I'm going to do that next. That's usually how I finish my videos. And if you're already very comfortable with GitHub and comfortable with using a GUI like SourceTree to interact with Git in repositories, then you're good to go. You can go ahead and stop watching this video. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you do want to learn about more about the process I go through to create these Git repositories and keep them updated, let's do it. So all of the code that I just wrote, I've been on the master branch this whole time, which again, you can get a hint of that when you look up here in my FreshVotes project. You can see it says master. So I was on the master branch. You can, I'm going to go ahead and check in my changes. So I'm going to go to my working copy, and you see I've got those 3 changes to the 3 files that I've made. So I'm going to stage the changes, and I'm going to push them to master with the comment saying enabling CSRF protection. And I'll push that up to master. So now that'll update my master branch, and my master branch will be ahead of all the other branches. So you'll see here, master is ahead of everything else. But now I want to create a branch that you guys can check out so that you can easily be at whatever stage. So as you can see here, I've got branches for every single stage of my coding for every video. So I need to create a new branch. So let's do that. So I clicked on branch to create a new branch. We'll call it FreshVotes _008 _ enabling CSRF protection. And I'll make things lowercase CSRF because that's sort of how I've done it in the past. And it will say create branch. So now there we go. I've created the FreshVotes 008 branch, and it is now in line with a master branch. So I'll switch back to master, and we are good to go almost. Because if you go to GitHub, at least if I go to my GitHub currently, as it stands now, there is no FreshVotes 008. So you might say, what the heck is going on? Well, I only committed, I didn't actually push that branch up. That's not obvious right now, unfortunately. At least I don't think it's obvious from it, unless I maybe make this bigger. Is it obvious? No. There's no, well, I guess here it is. It's obvious here because you see in the remotes there is no FreshVotes 008. So I need to remember to push this. So if I click on push with the FreshVotes 008, when I'm pointing to it and I say push, you'll see that, hey, there's no remote branch here. So if I click on this, boom, it'll create the remote branch with that name. I'm okay with that. I click on push. And then voila, you see the remote branch is created. And if I refresh this page on the web view, I see FreshVotes 008 has appeared. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for following along with this video series thus far. Plenty more videos to go. So like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos along this series of creating a, what's it called? The web application with Java from scratch, leveraging Spring Boot. Until next time, take care of yourself. Happy learning, and bye for now.